Okay, good evening. Thank you. For joining the Middleton Finance and Personnel meeting for October 21st. Brian, can we have a roll call?
Yes, Alder Haniro,
Here.
Chair Lorman,
Here.
Alder Crow.
Here. Okay. With all that, I have reviewed the minutes. Members, do you have any adjustments or comments regarding the minutes? No. All right, we'll accept the minutes as submitted, Brian.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Audit of the bills, we have signed them. Randall has the copies there. Brian, any notations?
No changes or adjustments that I'm aware of.
Alrighty, can I have a motion accepting audit of the bills?
I move approval.
Alright.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting audit of the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, nobody's opposed. Bids and quotes. First item. Award a bid to Verbicher for engineering and consulting services for high road reconstruction in an amount not to exceed $99,800, subject to city attorney review and approval of associated contracts. Project 25-115.
This is Haniro. I move to recommend that council approve the award of bid to, is it Verbicher?
Verbicher?
For engineering and consulting services for high road reconstruction in an amount not to exceed $99,800, subject to city attorney review and approval of associated contracts.
All righty, Norman will second that. Any questions, discussions for staff?
I have some.
All righty, proceed, please.
On page 9 of the packet indicates that High Road will have potential the potential to expand to 4 lanes. My question is High Road south of Spring Hill Drive designed for expansion to 4 lanes? And if not, why would the northern section be?
Yeah, I guess off the top of my head, sorry. Off the top of my head, I don't think we would expect it to expand to 4 lanes even north of there either.
Okay. And then page 13 references meetings with committees. I think it says /public, but it doesn't indicate that there would be public meetings. I know there would be a lot of interest among constituents of District 6 in weighing in on the design as it's developed. So do you know, Luke, will there be a public meeting?
Yeah, I would imagine for that project, we will have a public meeting,
Okay.
at least one.
Okay, that's good. And on page 17, it shows the timing of the WRMC review taking place. Well, I'm wondering if the WRMC meeting at which we review stormwater should take place before or after the DNR stormwater preliminary review. What's your thought on the timing for those two?
I guess off the top of my head, I would say to go to the DNR first to get their concurrence. A lot of times the DNR is kind of a, priority path that can hold things up.
Okay, so that timeline, the description on this page might need to be adjusted to put.
Yeah, we may need to adjust the time.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm wondering about the 3 private properties that might be affected by, or from which we might need to get easements. Are they, do you know if they're 3 different owners, or are they 3 properties owned maybe by 2?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it's probably 3 parcels.
Okay.
So it's possible they might be owned.
I would just encourage involvement of the elected official from that area, only because I don't want another situation like the nuns not granting an easement. I'm sure I would not have been able to convince them, but I certainly would have tried if I had known about the problem. So I would encourage you to make sure that elected officials are looped into that. And that's it. Thank you.
Question for our city attorney regarding page 17, items 8 and 10 reordered. We have to amend anything, or is it just discussion and the staff will deal with it?
I think we can probably have staff ultimately
Okay,
deal with this. I haven't guessed, I'm not seeing the contract, I haven't decided exactly how all of this proposal is gonna be incorporated into the contract language.
so it's still subject to city attorney
Yeah.
review, so we're fine.
Yeah, but I've made note that there might need to be some adjustments to the schedule, and I'll go through the proposal again once I assume the contract will ultimately more or less follow our standard professional services contract with
Thank you.
other stuff to make for this.
Alrighty, so we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. Then I guess we'll take a vote on this. All those in favor of the awarded bid to Verbicker for engineering and consulting services for high road reconstruction, the amount not to exceed 99,800, subject city attorney review and approval of associated contracts, project 25-115, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Ayes have it. Item number 2, award a proposal for MSA professional services for the County Highway M Bridge Replacement Real Estate Services Project 21-111.
This is Haniro. I move to recommend the council approve the award of proposal to MSA.
All right, Norman will second that. Discussion, questions for staff?
I have a few.
All righty.
On page 29, it mentions that there were only one submittal out of 3 contacted, and I'm just wondering, do we have any idea what's with the non-submittals?
Thank you. This is Ben from Public Works. So we contacted 2 other firms for these real estate acquisition services, and both stated that due to their firm's current workload, they weren't able to meet this project's deadline. This is a county project that is required to abide by state bidding requirements, so they've got a pretty tight timeline for the entire project as a whole.
Okay, thank you. And then the budget in the memo is referenced at $500,000. This bid is 70,000. So the remaining 430,000 is for?
For any land acquisition that may be required as part of this. And it's mostly temporary limited easements, I believe is the term that would be required for this project.
Okay. And then same comment that I just made regarding the High Road project, just encourage you all to inform, at least inform the property owners who their alder is, and let them know they can contact that person if they have more questions. And I would encourage you to loop that person in if you encounter any difficulties with.
Yeah, absolutely. We
yeah.
can do that.
That's it. Thank you.
Randall, anything?
Nothing.
All right, well, we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. All right. All those in favor of awarding of proposal to MSA Professional Services for County Highway Road M Bridge Replacement Real Estate Services Project 21-111, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. On to the budget. Budget deliberation. Bill's not here tonight. Brian will be driving the presentation, and the mayor is here with us. And Madam Mayor, if you'd like to speak at any time, just identify yourself and please do. And Brian, take it away.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the committee for working hard and reviewing the budget and having a robust discussion 2 weeks ago. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know that there are many needs across the city. And one of the reasons I asked, my apologies, I'm losing my voice. So I'm over in a cold, so I'm not contagious. But what I wanted to share is that we have been hearing news from the county level that they are having a struggle in meeting their budget. And I realize that that is not your jurisdiction. However, as they continue to make decisions, we may have to deal with those outcomes. So I am just trying to share the things that I'm seeing. For instance, last week, I wrote a letter on behalf of the senior center asking to maintain their caseworkers. That there are residents that come from outside of the city to use our facility, that we do look at this as a county-wide thing. Now, I did that to support our seniors and our neighbors, but also everything that you all are doing. Because if the county continues to support their usual budget and just maintaining services, then we can focus our time and energy on those other needs. I say that because today I learned that there will be sheriff deputies that will not go filled. Our police force works at times across with other organizations. So again, their problems may become our problems. So I just ask that you continue to be judicious, that we continue to spend, but spend thoughtfully, and return to the chair who commented 2 weeks ago. And he talked about needs versus wants and focusing on maintaining operations. So I thank you for your leadership. And one last point, and this is a tactical one. I'm asking, I had asked for the pedestrian safety improvements at $100,000. I'm asking if that can be changed to 75,000. And with the remaining 25 to support number 8 traffic safety screening study, and changing that from no to yes, so that no dollar amount changes, but that it is funded to support those pedestrian safety improvements. Thank you for my time.
Okay, where the body left off the discussion at your last meeting, you had made a motion to kind of move forward or recommend the operating budget with a number of amendments that are listed in the minutes from the last meeting. In the packet materials, the changes that were reflected as a result of those amendments that the Finance and Personnel Committee approved are in red in that document. In addition, in the packet materials, the Finance Director Burns had put together a list of a couple of other items that have come up since our last conversation on October 7. And it includes if the positions that were included in the operating budget are in fact, go forward and funded, there is some smaller IT technology that needs to be included as part of that to support those positions in their onboarding and operational work to the tune of about $2,520 on the operating budget and about $8,000 on the capital side. There was a discussion of a water and sewer utility office assistant position. In the kind of original budget, it was discussed at 30 hours per week, but given the workload that position would be asked to address, including with the coming of the new ERP software implementation next year and the related stormwater utility rate cases, the utility department would be looking to have this position funded at 40 hours per week rather than 30. So that's a cost of about $15,220. So that would be another item that's in this memo. More just an informational item for the committee. We don't have the final numbers from Madison Metropolitan Sewerage District. We do have kind of the base number. There may be additional cost increases that come when we get our final number. So we have a couple options as to how we want to deal with that in our budget process now. We could include the number that we've got today and then make an adjustment when we get that final number before we adopt the full budget. Or we could just wait until we get a little bit further along in the process and get that final number. And then lastly, there was discussion last time about funding 2 crew positions for the stormwater utility. After some further conversation and discussion, the utilities recommending funding of 1 position in 2026, not 2. So that would be, the cost for that 1 position would be a little over $96,000 for that. And then there was 1 capital item that I sent over to you this afternoon that we got word from the police department on, and Chief Thompson's on the Zoom call to provide additional context when you're ready to talk about it. Basically, we got word from our vendor that does the servicing of our dispatch radio console system. That system is coming towards the end of its useful life, and the software support systems will be kind of changing in 2026. And so there are a couple options, but one of the options is likely that we go and purchase a new system for $80,000 on the capital side of the budget, so that equipment is got the latest support systems for it. Chief Thompson can talk about that when you're ready. So that's just a quick recap of the items since we've last discussed the budget. I think the intent of the committee at the last meeting was to spend the bulk of the discussion tonight on the capital budget, but I just wanted to make you aware of these additional items as well.
Thanks. Just- Brian, lead me through a couple items the mayor just talked about. Item number 8. Where is this? Where can I find it? What page? I'm on page 42, 43. Where am I? Help me understand. Yep. Where are we?
That's page 8 of the capital briefing book.
I'm in,
If
okay,
you have that.
page 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And this is, which item is it, Madam Mayor?
It was number 8 is the traffic study. I don't have it in front of me. And I think it was number 9 was pedestrian.
It's under Public Works Other category.
Okay, so traffic safety screening study currently is a no, $25,000. Madam Mayor is asking to reduce the
Pedestrian safety.
Number 9.
Number
By
nine.
$25,000.
$25,000 to fund. And is the pedestrian safety improvement already just what a draft proposal through a consulting firm? So we're just would be asking them to do less scope there and go with more scope on the other project simply? Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding or concerns regarding that? I mean, I'm perfectly fine with doing that if there isn't any. So we can start with that.
No objection.
That's fine.
Okay. Brian, will you please make note of that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have like a real-time spreadsheet up in front of you? Or no, you're just making mental note? You are?
Just you just updated it.
You just.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. I'm looking over here. I'd like to, yeah. Okay, thank you. You fix that in real time? Perfect. Okay. Next item, then. Since it's kind of a wheelhouse, I understand, I did go through the, called the console system request by the police department. I went through it, looked at it. I can say that some of the items that the vendor's passing on to us are retail pricing. They're marking it up, sending it on. So there's, do we want to get into a fight with them over maybe a couple $1,000s? But bottom line is, with the sunset of Windows 10, it is a reality. It's affecting all of us. Where I happen to work, we have thousands of systems. And what we've done is we bought a license from Microsoft. And it's inexpensive. It's about $1 per qualified system. And then that buys us a year of extension to keep running with Windows 10 on these systems that we frankly don't have money to upgrade. And so just in my own department alone, I'm faced with, enough systems that are probably making up about half of our IT budget here. And so what we're doing is buying these licenses, and we're going to slowly continue Windows. Microsoft will not stop. What you have to look is between the lines. What Microsoft is saying is we're not going to support Windows 10. So what they're saying is if you find a problem or a bug with it, and you call us and say, hey, something isn't working right, they're going to say, sorry, we have no engineers who are going to help you through that problem. But with this extended license, what they are going to do is they're going to patch the operating system so it's secure from vulnerabilities and compatibility at that level. So what the police department's faced with is they could keep the system running, they could buy the license to keep Windows 10 secure, but if staff encounters a technical problem, the vendor may push back and say, officially, we're not going to help you. But we could also say to them, do you officially want our business? And you have in-house technical people who should be able to help you sort this out for a year. So, we fund it, either we fund it now or we fund it next year. But if we can't fund it now, we can probably get away with it for a year. And that's my own assessment and what I'm doing in my workplace with comparable types of pieces of equipment. We have a microscope that costs $250,000, and it's being held literally hostage by a $1,000 computer. So,
Do we maybe want to invite Chief Thompson to provide some context on?
So where do we get the money?
Well, I was going to ask if we could go back to the table, and I do want to hear from Chief Thompson, but if we could go back to the table with the capital projects. Right now, going to the top, please, Diego. Right now, there's 4.3 million in borrowing anticipated. So that leaves $50,040 until we hit our target or a cap, whatever we want to call it, of 4.4 million. But with High Road reconstruction, the design work, actually that's in there for 120,000, but didn't we just approve the award of bid? So that can come out, correct? Luke?
So that's in this budget.
Yeah, if you look, keep going up a little bit, Diego. It's under streets for public works. Keep going. There it is, number 4 under streets. That's $120,000 that we don't need to spend on design work next year, or do we? Luke's thinking.
So we paid for it this year.
Okay, we just approved a bid for design work for High Road.
Oh, in this budget
We just did
in
it
2025 funding.
minutes ago. Yeah. All right. Well, while they're checking on that, there's also the B cycle award or project, and that's 60,000 in borrowing. And that has got to be postponed because we're not going to get the grant.
Oh, we aren't.
So that's 60,000 available. And this is all from the memo that Bill sent prior to our previous meeting. Sustainability has matching funds of $100,000. So I'm going to ask that the $200,000 be put back in the budget for the strategic city climate action roadmap. And there's also $227,548 left from the battery project, which we had to cancel. So between those two, the battery project and the sustainability matching funds, we have plenty to pay for that $200,000. The 50,000 remaining to get to the 4.4 million target can cover Chief Thompson's request for the symphony upgrade, if we're in agreement. I did note that there's $7,500 in annual maintenance, so that would have to go in on the operating side, correct? And I think there's a little bit, still show a little bit of a surplus there. So in other words, we should be able to cover Symphony both on the ops and the capital side. The $200,000 for the climate action roadmap and possibly other projects. But first, I'd like to hear from Luke.
Yes, we do already have $120,000 in this year's budget for the high road reconstruction. So we don't need to add in the 120 for next year. I
Okay,
think that was just a relic.
great. Thank you, Luke. So there's additional funding on the capital side there.
So with the B-cycle project, Diego, go up to that $60,000. So we've lost that $60,000.
Well, we can drop it because we're not going to get the $240,000 grant, so we're not going to do the project next year.
Okay, so we're just not gonna do any B-cycle, okay?
Not next year, in a future year, we'll try again. And so if you put the strategic item number 1, it was the top
Well,
choice.
the one thing that I'm still concerned about is the parks go down to the Conservancy lands, the pruning project. Because that's real concrete, actionable, and direct environmental impact. And really has quite a significant impact on the city. If we're not gonna take care of our trees.
I agree, but I think that's in the operations budget and we're looking at the capital. We need to go through operations again.
Mhm. It's pruning block.
Because there was a long, a short-term plan and a long-term.
Maybe it's under parks. It's probably under parks because it's an urban forest request, pruning block supplement. 7.
Yeah. So I'd like to put that back in, Diego. Okay.
All right, so scroll back down, please, and let's make sure the 120 for High Road is removed. Maybe you already did. Okay, so that's been removed.
Did you insert the
Symphony,
symphony system somewhere? Nope. Oh, dispatch desk? Nope, that's something else. So you have to
Yeah,
put a new
Symphony's
item
new.
there.
and so Brian, if we want to denote that that 100,000 in funding, say for the climate action roadmap, that is not to be borrowed, it's coming from another source, that would go in a different column, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So then that, when you're done, Diego, that 200,000 can come out of borrowing and be put elsewhere. We also need to add in the IT costs for the new staff, and that takes me back to the request from, well, the shared increase to full-time for the office manager for water and sewer. I assume that does not need new technology because they already have the additional 14,000 to get to a full-time office assistant or office manager. I forget if it's an assistant or a manager, for sewer and water utility. This is other operations. I know we'll talk about that in a minute, but if we add those hours, we don't need to add more IT spending on the capital side, correct?
That's included, that office assistant position's included in that capital IT number.
Okay, in the
So
$8,000?
Yeah, it's laptop, PC laptop and licensing.
Okay, so in other words, if we do add in, when we get back to operations, if we do add in the one stormwater utility crew member, we don't need to add money to that $8,000 estimate for the IT borrowing to increase.
I don't believe so. I think that's been already accounted for in that number.
Okay. I thought Symphony 80,000?
No, it's
Okay.
30.
Yeah, 33,
33
5, 7,
something.
6, 50.
$33, 576, 50.
$576.
And 50 cents.
Again, just for recap on the sustainable or the climate action plan funding, that was $100,000 from what other line item?
From the sustainability matching funds that we had set aside in a previous year.
Okay.
And again, this is for reference. Find the memo.
Item one.
It's from the budget
Change the funding source.
process questions and follow-up from October 1st. That's where that's these amounts from the battery storage project, and we had earmarked $100,000 of the 2023 excess capital projects funds for sustainability matching fund. And I know we may have opportunities for matching funds in the future, but until we get that roadmap, it doesn't make sense to be doing the projects on a DIY basis. We need to have a systematic approach, just like the school district.
Okay, where does that leave us now at the top of your spreadsheet?
So it's over, but again, we do have $127,548 from the battery storage project if we need it.
Where is it? Let's see.
It's not in, it would be in a different column.
Yeah, I think for now, the best place to put that 100,000 would be the column I, the fund balance from replacement fund, and we can verify with Finance Director Burns if he's okay with that, or if there's a better place for that to go, since it's coming from an internal city fund.
Yep.
That money from the battery replacement, where would we have put that back from? I mean, what would have been the end result?
I would check with him, but likely if it's unspent at the end of this fiscal year, it gets rolled into, I'm assuming it was a capital expense, so it'd get rolled into undesignated capital that the council then reallocates at the beginning of next year or prior to the end of this year.
Mhm. Gotcha.
I wanted to speak to Graber Pond restoration, which is under Conservancy Lands. So this is the first year of implementation of a long underfunded conservancy restoration effort. And I am disappointed that we're budgeting only half of what was recommended in the soon to be approved tomorrow Graber Pond master plan, the first update since 2006. This is a highly developing area. I think you all may have been up on High Road and seen all the development that's going on. I think we have the potential for a large core of volunteers, but we need somebody within the city to sort of get the ball rolling. This is a quote from, I believe it's from that master plan. Early implementation following plan adoption will maintain project momentum, demonstrate visible progress to the community, and leverage the city's investment in strategic science-based land management. So I would love to see this start strong and build a volunteer base. And I would like to put in an additional $20,000 to the budget. That would double it, take it up to $40,000, which is still less than what what our consultant recommended in the plan. This particular conservancy has had about $87,000 invested in restoration since 2009. It's about $5,000 per year, and it's just not enough. I know Graber Pond, the boardwalk, this whole area, I get a lot of calls from constituents. They care about it. They scheduled a second volunteer meeting, an activity on their own. They were so excited about the first one that the city scheduled. So I would like to see us get off to a good start with this particular project. And I think 20,000 from the battery storage project would be well spent. Here goes Kylie.
I'm sorry, I'm not against that. I think it's very nice. Can you just walk me through which line is the battery project? I couldn't
The
follow.
battery project is one we canceled this year. That was,
I do remember that.
Right.
Is it
So we-
on here or is it left over from last year?
Left-
Thank you. Just clarifying.
It's just that
Kylie,
we don't know we don't have a confirmation on the money, the return of the funds, or we do have a confirmation on the return of the funds.
it's in Bill Burns' October 1st.
Okay.
That part
message.
I do remember. It
No,
was
I didn't.
canceled.
But I mean, I didn't know where
We do read so much. It is hard.
exactly.
Thank you.
I don't make any, I don't pretend to have all this stuff memorized.
I just wanted to make a note on that. We only requested $20,000 because we're planning on rolling over $20,000 from this year. We were planning to get the Graber plan completed much earlier, but we are almost there on the approval, so we would have that $40,000 for 2026, if that makes sense with that, what that $20,000 rollover. We're more than happy to take a larger chunk of funds to apply it to Graber restoration efforts, but I just wanted to clarify that we are planning on rolling over close to $20,000 in capital funds from 2025 to 2026.
Okay, thank you. And that makes me wonder, Brian, is there a way to footnote things like that? And I remember this came up with the sustainable building guidelines last year, where, and also the shades in the library for the children's area. We had the money, we were going to do it, but the budget looked like we had said no.
Yeah, I think if you made some motions tonight to direct where you want certain funds to go, that then tracks back to the minutes, and Bill and Diego and others can go back and make sure that all the things get put in their proper place with that.
Thank you.
Abby, I have a question. If we move ahead with the strategic climate action roadmap, how do you propose allocating enough staff resources to actually work on something like this? don't get me wrong, but, you know, we're stretched thin and everything the city's gonna do is going to be done in a sustainable, responsible way. Every building we build, every piece of equipment we buy, everything we do. This is really more of a staff project, a consulting project. We need consultants, we need people, we need resources to lay this out and then fund it over a period of time.
The amount that's included in the budget is to hire a consultant. So that project would be overseen by the city's sustainability coordinator, Kelly Hilliard, in our department. This is based on a project that Middleton Cross Plains Area School District completed recently.
Yeah, I understand that part of it.
Okay.
So then why can't she do it?
This is very in-depth engineering type work. She doesn't have an engineering background.
Like what kind of engineering?
I mean, it would be looking at actually calculating the electrical needs for each of the buildings, looking at the loading, what different types of renewable energy resources could be incorporated into all of the different buildings, doing cost estimating for that. It would really
Okay,
be
I got it.
trying to take
Yeah, I understand. So then,
this, yeah.
with that in mind, you know, if we're gonna move ahead with a community campus at some point in the near term future, these buildings are going away. You know, we're gonna do something, right, in the future, and every building that we build moving forward is going to have all this integrated into it. So if we're looking at existing buildings, say, you know, the MOC or the library, or not the library, that's part of this campus, but other structures and things the city owns, you know, if we're gonna do maintenance on the building, the maintenance isn't done without it being done in an efficient way. For someone to come out, you know, for us to pay a consultant to go there and look at the building and say, well, yeah, you know, you can put in additional insulation, you can upgrade this, you can change that, you can do this, you can do that. Why would we need to pay someone to tell us what we already know we need to do and
I-
how we can just get a contractor and move ahead with it?
Yep, I think that what this is trying to do is we've addressed all of the low-hanging fruit with the staff resources and capabilities that we have now.
Mhm.
But it's trying to lay out the plan for how we're gonna reach the goals that were set by the council in the climate resolution that was approved, which has really stringent goals for efficiency, renewable energy.
Oh, no, I understand that. But you're not answering my question. What I'm trying to get at is, you know, we have a staff person, so they should outline and make that outline. And then that outline should be what the city can follow. So you go to each city department, each engineering person, each person responsible for that area and that facility, and say, hey, manager of the MOC, okay, what are you gonna do to maintain this building and follow our sustainability purchasing needs? What are you gonna do every time you need to replace something in the building, whether it's a light bulb, a furnace, I don't care what it is, in an energy efficient way? What are you gonna do, you know, when we go to Public Works and say, okay, what are you gonna replace now? What equipment are you buying? You know, I think we already have a sustainable purchasing plan in place. So why do we need to just pay someone to tell us what we already know what to do? You know, so with that in mind, what I'm keep pushing for is we have staff, we have a finite number of people. And I think they have to have a clear understanding if that's what they need to do. So for us just to pay a consultant to give us a report and say, this is what you need to do. Now the staff person looks at it and goes, well, we don't have people who can do this, or we don't have money to do this. And we've just paid someone $100,000 or $200,000 to tell us what we can't do because we don't have the time and resources and money. And I feel very comfortable with any kind of action plan when we have money to do it. Or for example, say a federal agency comes along and says to us, you know, we're not going to give you grant money. We're not going to award you money if you don't have a plan. So for example, I can just, like the airport, you have to have a master plan. Without a master plan, we don't get our grant assurances. Real simple. But in this case, you know, if we spend this money, how is it going to get us money to do the improvements and the energy efficiencies the city needs? So if we have this in place, then can we go to the Fed? Can we go to the county? Can we go to the state and say, hey, look, we have a roadmap, City of Middleton, and this is what we want to do to be green. This is what we want to do to save money. And so here it is. Now give us $50,000 because we're gonna make this element of our city sustainable, or give us another 25,000 because we're gonna replace this over here with energy efficiency, as opposed to, you know, building a new building where that's the job of the engineering firm that we're gonna pay. So you see what I'm saying is I appreciate it. Consultants, I get it. We need them. We don't have enough staff, but if we're gonna use them, I want it to be in a way where we actually see, you know, results. I don't want to just spend money and then here, hey, we don't have enough people to do it now that we have a plan.
And I think that what you're getting at is actually exactly why the Sustainability Committee and the staff is very interested in doing this exact project.
Mhm.
Because everything that we've done so far, we've kind of reached the maximum capacity of what we can be doing with our knowledge that we have, with our resources, with our just working with our staff. But what we saw with the school district project is immediate implementation. Within weeks of the school board approving their plan, they allocated funding, so there would be additional funding that would be required for improvements. And we almost immediately saw solar going up on Sauk Trail, other buildings within the district. We were getting permit applications within just a few weeks, and it was almost immediate implementation. Now, I know that we have gotten millions of dollars in different types of grant funding for this work. I don't know what the environment is going forward, so I certainly would not want to guarantee that if we have this plan, there's going to magically be funding available. It likely would cost the city money to implement the improvements. I think that the way that the committee has scoped it out now is that it would not really include looking at the existing community campus buildings because of the uncertainty of their future.
Mhm.
But there may be some of the scope that includes recommendations depending on what the city council decides to do with the community campus project.
Gotcha.
And that is something we talked about at the budget meeting.
Randall?
I was gonna point out, one of the things that you had said was we can go to the, you know, the managers of the different departments and they would kind of know what the maintenance needs to be done following strategic plan or following the sustainability plan.
Yep.
I will say that there are some department leads whose job is to direct staff, set up programming. They're not into building maintenance.
Yep.
I mean, we need kind of a plan as to, again, kind of what are all those engineering things? What are the different types of things that we can do? And it's not necessarily, yeah, we need to make improvements to this building. Let's let, and I'm mostly talking about library. I know that's part of the campus,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm familiar with. But you go
No,
to any
that's
other
fine.
department,
I get it.
Jocelyn's job is not maintaining the building.
Well, and we have a lot of buildings, so it's not just the ones that you think of like EMS and, you know, the police station, but we have all of the well buildings, we have the airport building. And we really, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but I think we only really have one dedicated facility person for the entire city.
Yep.
So we just don't have the capacity to put this level of planning effort together with one person for 10 plus buildings
Sure.
that we maintain.
Well, yeah, and again, that's why I'm pushing so hard and asking these questions because, you know, we are really in a dire situation. We are in a self-induced situation in this country where we are destroying our own economic opportunities by cutting federal fundings and programs. We're now starting to see the end result at a county level. We're starting to see the result eventually at city level. We've already started to experience the result because we're seeing funds cut back in sustainability and environmental impact programs, you know. So I'm really concerned about us, you know, spending money on something that we may never be able to do right now. But it's something we need to do. It's something we should do. It's something we want to strive for and work for. But I'm just concerned that right now with really wanting to be kind of a cost to continue. I'm really concerned about us dumping more than on your staff and on city staff with another project. So if we have a plan to move ahead with this roadmap to bring energy efficiencies and sustainability to the city and more of our buildings and spaces and places, then how are we gonna fund it moving forward as well? So it's kind of, it's the chicken and the egg. I'm sort of saying is, I want to see something before I pay for something. And then I'm willing to pay for something when I really see what it's gonna do. I mean, if you're saying we're at our limit and we're done and we have no more creative ideas on how to make this move forward, and we now have to pay someone to tell us how to do it, then I want to know what we're missing in that process. If we're saying we don't have the capability to go, I don't know, look at a building in the city and say, how do we make this more sustainable and energy efficient? We need to pay a consultant to tell us. Well, why don't we go to that building in the first place and look at it and not pay them to tell us, but pay them to do it? Because that's what we're gonna do ultimately. So,
But this roadmap isn't about implementing the sustainable purchasing policy.
no, I didn't say it's about.
Right, but you keep talking about efficiency and what, how to maintain a building, but it's more identifying where we would get the biggest bang for the buck for improvements to make our existing and continuing to exist buildings more reliant on clean energy and more efficient and more
I
comfortable.
agree.
all those things.
But
But
I
I-
have absolutely no argument with any of that. I'm just
I
saying,
think I have
I agree with you.
the floor, but you just said that our sustainability court, you don't want to dump on the staff, but at the same time, you expect the sustainability coordinator to take on the project of doing what we are going to pay a team of consultants to do, or what we're proposing to
Well,
pay.
if we-
So that to me
That's
is
correct, but if we
inconsistent.
pay the consultants, now we have to implement it, which means our staff has to go to work and get it done.
I
So we're
understand
gonna
that.
need staff to
And I
carry
think
out,
it
to
would
execute.
take less time for Kelly to implement these things. I'll give you an example. The energy, we participated with our peer cities in an energy plan. 2020 is when it came out. And we have implemented all the things in that plan except for solar on the wells. And we had solar on a well in our list of projects that we talked about when ARPA funding was still around. And it didn't get done. And now it's too late for us to do it. Well, we can
Yeah.
still do it, but we lose out on the Inflation Reduction Act incentives. I don't fault Kelly for that. Kelly has a million things to do. And she's the only sustainability coordinator we have. It's her actions that got us the LEED Gold certification. And she worked a lot on the battery storage project. So I'm not at all finding fault with Kelly. What I'm saying is we need a new version of that 2020 energy plan because we've already done all the things that we could do except for the well. The next iteration will take us that much further. And I'm going to lobby to keep this in the budget. I would note, Diego, the $100,000 in the borrowing column should not be there because the full cost would come from the $100,000 already set aside for sustainability projects and another $100,000 from a sustainability project that had to be canceled.
Well, I thank you for the information. I appreciate your argument. And nobody's here picking on any city individual in any way whatsoever and accusing them of not doing their job, because that's not what any of this is about. Let me make that crystal clear. All the staff work very hard and I acknowledge that. And I don't think any of that was implied here for a moment. Okay, thank you. Brian, let's put together a motion on all the items we've amended.
Is there any more discussion?
I'm gonna throw one more in there, and that's for library, some funding for a sorter, and I know that one keeps getting put off year after year after year. But again, it's end of life, kind of thing, and they're having all kinds of issues with it. I don't know that we can do the 350,000 to get a whole new system, but if there's some way that we could set aside some money to go toward it in the future, it's something that the library needs, or they need to hire more staff to sort all the books. And again, it's like about 2.5 staff people to do what the sorter does.
And what I appreciate about your comments is that for as long as I've been here and monitoring this, the sorter has come up. And that's the kind of thing I like to see in a budget, where someone has brought it up in the past. Okay, we turned it down. We had a good discussion about it, why we may or may not have been able to pay for it at the time, but then it came back again and we turned it down. And we had the discussion again, and now here we are, what, round 3, round 4?
At least.
Yeah,
And I don't know if
and
any finance committee members in the past really pushed for the sorter, but I am.
well,
I think we saw the 350 and like, whoa.
Yeah.
yeah, and
But
Well-
to me, it's something that needs to be done at some point.
I have a
And I haven't-
question for Kylie to help identify some funds.
Okay.
And this would be where Bill Burns would be able to say something like, well, we have X amount in contingency, so if something did come up, you know. But Kylie, there's the playground replacement program for next year has 3, I think it's 3 parks to have playgrounds equipment replaced. I'm wondering, would it be possible to do 2 next year and then 2 the year after that? To free up, roughly a third of the amount budgeted.
Yes, this was one of the highest priorities set forth by the Parks Rec Forestry Commission. We haven't had funding to keep on pace with the playground replacement program. And we're trying to do 1 per year. And so we're 3 years behind on that. And Architecture and Planning is in contract with us to do the surveying and design of all 3 playgrounds currently, and we'll have that completed to go out to the community for design selection in December timeframe. So we were on track for the 3, but that's a discussion if something would want to be moved around with or moved back. We can move forward with 1 or 2, but that was something that the PRFC wanted to see funded and
Thank you for that. Yeah, I was going to suggest taking it down to 2 next year and then 2 the following year and freeing up some of the money to pay for item number 4, which is under parks, which is ADA compliance. I didn't know if that 220 was, like just a placeholder amount to have some funds available for that, or if you had a specific project in mind.
it's a specific project for the Penny Klein soccer fields, those 8 soccer fields. So that is a projected amount with a contingency percentage in there to complete that project.
And I know that I've heard from some, maybe it's committee or commission members and constituents regarding playground replacement program. I think there would be a very big pushback if we don't keep that equipment maintained and replaced on schedule.
Well, I would agree, but we're already behind schedule, and I'm just suggesting that instead of doing 3 next year to catch us up, that we do 2 and 2 and then get to the 1 a year
I
schedule.
appreciate your thoughtfulness on that. I just don't know how the constituents would respond to it. That's one item I've had direct input on, feedback on, I should say, from the community, was our commitment to that program. So it would concern me.
Diego, can you scroll up, please? Or actually, no, scroll down. I'm sorry. So again, the $100,000 next to, yep, that 100,000 needs to go somewhere else because we're not suggesting borrowing.
Move it to I.
Thank you. And the total cost is 200. Thank you. So somewhere we've got to put maybe,
Sorry, make that number under I 200 and we'll figure out the funding breakdown.
thank you. So now can we go back up to the top and see what we've got? Okay. So now that's about 77,000 away from our target, which is not very much for a, for the sorter. Brian, do you have any?
I don't have any magic items off the top of my head other than, you know, you have to look at reallocating something else. I guess the question for Alder Crow is, are you looking for about half or what's the number you had in your mind?
I would say at least half. I don't know how long the sorter is gonna last, so within 2 years, maybe.
And I would agree that we need to start looking then forward on this for something. I mean, if we just keep putting the whole amount off.
Yeah. Cause every year it's a big number that if we can
And it'll be affected by inflation,
build, yeah.
and other factors.
I guess let me suggest this, as opposed to trying to figure this out on the fly, if the committee would like us to take a look at what options, so if we assume we have ballpark 77 left to get to the 4.4 million under capital, we can take a look after tonight, what other options might be to get to that 175 number and come back with some suggestions, or if there aren't any quote unquote magical solutions, then we're gonna come back and say, there's not, so you're gonna have to make a choice on another project. You'll have to reallocate the funding from that to the we'll call it the sinking fund for the sorter. We can take a look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess my only concern, and we can come back to this next time, my only concern would be like, are we setting aside funds for half a sorter, right? You can't get half a sorter. So I just want to make sure that, one, that we're not overlooking other funds. I don't know if there are library fund balance funds we could use to pay for some of this. And make it fit within our 4.4 million. Or what's our contingency?
Yeah, we'd have to look at that too, and I don't know if Finance Director Burns has a good handle on what the final 2025 capital cost that might be available to roll over is gonna be, but we can talk about that as well.
Okay.
Might be a possibility.
And again, the suggestion would be that if you're to Alder Crow's recommendation, it'd basically be, for lack of better phrasing, creating a sinking fund in which that, we'll call it 175, would be parked, so that when we get to the budget discussions in the latter portion of 2026 for the 2027 fiscal year, we'll have to have a similar conversation of, okay, where do we find the extra 175 to make that full 350? So this is part one of a part two discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it.
Okay. Madam Mayor, did you have any last moment thoughts?
I just want to say thank you again for a robust discussion. And I'm glad that you're all working together. There's so many priorities. And I'm so proud of you.
Are we going to discuss the vehicle replacement plan at all? Or is that something we can discuss at our? Well, I guess we do have time now, and we're not going to have the report
Do
on
we,
our investments.
third quarter investments, is this something,
Bill does that, so.
Brian, do we need to do that? Can we skip that tonight? Okay. Well, keep an eye on the time and just when you're ready for us to make some motions here, then let's do that. Oh, Diego's gonna bring up vehicle replacement? Is that in the packet?
It's in the capital briefing book,
Okay,
not necessarily, but I haven't looked to see if it's in the packet. 'Cause
then it's
don't-
not,
I don't
it's
think
not
so.
in
all my
tonight's packet,
notes in
so
the
he'll need to
briefing
bring
book.
that up on screen if we're gonna discuss it.
Diego's bringing that up. Let me just give you the recap that I've got from my notes on the capital side, just to make sure we're tracking along the same lines. So the group was comfortable with the mayor's proposed change for the Public Works other item number 9, reducing it by 25,000 to allow for funding of item number 8, traffic safety screening study for $25,000. Folks are okay with that. The dispatch radio console upgrade was added into the budget. We're striking the B cycle award because we're not receiving that grant this year. To cover the cost of the climate action study, there would be the reallocation of $100,000 of the battery storage project that's not moving forward and $100,000 from the sustainable matching fund. We're relocating and reducing from the high road project $120,000. Graber Pond, there's an additional $20,000 that's being added from rollover from 2025 funds from Graber Pond from Parks Department to make the total $40,000.
The pruning
And-
block,
Sorry, yeah, pruning block. I didn't have a final note on what the decision was on that item.
I think Diego changed it, so it's
Yep.
in there and so far it's fitting. Dollar wise.
Okay, we'll verify that. And then adding a line item for a sinking fund for the library sorter machine for half the cost of that and $175,000 with funding source to be determined, but capturing the difference between the $4.4 million cap and where we're at today. And then reducing, do we make a final decision on the playground replacement?
We decided to leave it alone.
I think we were, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
then
if it
that's
can't
where we're at
fund
as
the
of now.
ADA compliance, then it's not worth changing right now. Okay, thank you for bringing this up. I had just a couple of questions about some of the vehicles. So in the future, it'd be great to see the mileage on all these, just out of curiosity, I think about replacing cars, not so much based on their year, but on the mileage. And I know the police interceptors are a totally different animal. So the administration's 2016 Ford Fusion is being replaced. I don't know who drives that, but is that necessary? It's 2016, 10 years, I don't know.
It's kind of the all-encompassing staff car for when, anybody needs to go to a meeting anywhere, both in town and out of town. That's the vehicle they utilize if they're not using their personal vehicle.
Yep.
Um,
Is it pretty junky?
I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've ridden it. We can take a look at that, I guess.
Okay, that just, again, thinking about wants versus needs, if it's possible to squeeze another year out of that, that would be good. Later, there's, where is there's an IT car in there. Does the IT department really need a Ford Mach-E? That doesn't seem like a necessary, that seems like a pretty nice car for carrying.
Where is it?
I have it in here somewhere. Well, here it's saying Ford, the hybrid Escape. But somewhere in, maybe it's in the number is that one. 78. Oh, okay, they are advocating for, never mind, they did pick the Ford Escape Hybrid. Okay, so scratch that. Thank you for that. What, do we know what the annual maintenance and fuel costs are based on then, by any chance? Because-
Brian Gebhardt, our lead mechanic, and Brad Hopwood, our assistant public works director, they kind of put together the estimates for maintenance and fuel for each vehicle across the city's fleet.
Okay, because if I look at the Falca, I guess it's the outputs and inputs maybe, on page 32 of the briefing book, sorry, it's not her packet. But if I look at the costs on there, the annual maintenance costs, well, this is looking at option A and B, so you have to scroll up. Somewhere in this document, and now I'm not finding it, there is a table showing what the inputs are, and the inputs for option A and option B, the inputs for the hybrid or the ICE or the electric cars look similar to me. And if I look at page 33, there is the Falca output, the existing asset versus option A and option B. And I'll just say I was disappointed that, when you look at the difference between option A and option B, it's not great. And that's because the types of cars selected are not that different. Like option A wasn't all ICE vehicles or with some hybrids, and option B was the definitely, we're attempting to get EVs and hybrids. It was more like they both were a blend with not much variation. So in the future, I think that would be important. But if we can, again, I know we need to devote money to the vehicle replacement fund each year, but if we still need to find a little bit of money to pay for the library's materials handling sorter or something like that, I wonder if we can hold on to the 2016 Ford Fusion for another year.
Brian, I have a question, or Ben, doesn't matter. Why don't people use their personal vehicles and just get reimbursed?
It's, I guess, from my perspective, personal preference for a lot of city hall staff. Obviously, our field staff are using city vehicles to do the work that they do if they're in the field. But
I understand field staff, but I'm talking about why does IT have a car?
Because they're making trips across different buildings, multiple, during the course of a day.
So
For
do I,
other,
and I
for
use
other
my
office
own.
staff, it is a matter of personal preference. I mean, some are, more, they're okay with wear and tear on their personal vehicle if there is reimbursement. Others, would prefer that if they're being asked to do a work task, that they have a vehicle made available to them to do that.
So basically, it's not kind of a requirement. If we hire you, you don't have to have a vehicle or a working vehicle. We'll provide you with a vehicle. That's
Right. I mean, it's really position dependent. So for example, typically field staff, when you see requests for new field staff positions, we will typically have a corresponding request for a new vehicle to cover that. But typically office type positions, we don't have that. We typically reuse an older vehicle that's, coming towards the end of its useful life in our fleet, and that gets transitioned to, be a, staff vehicle that anyone can check out when they need to go to a community event or
What's
something
the
like that.
distance that IT has to drive around the city?
I don't know. I haven't computed the miles.
But it's all within the.
Right. Yeah. All within the city.
they're based out of the
Police
police department and then, make trips throughout the city, but it's all usually within the city.
Yeah.
May I ask about the tourism vehicle that's being replaced. This is page 16 of the briefing book. Is that going to be a hybrid? Because it really should be.
I think it could be if that's the direction of the committee. I think they were concerned about switching to a fully EV vehicle because when they go to different events across the state, the infrastructure isn't quite there. So if that's the direction, we'll take
Yeah,
a look at that.
I think nothing less than a hybrid. I get the EV. I have an EV, so I know EV, I know range anxiety. I get it.
You know, I mean, any city, any
And
vehicle.
but I
we
have a
use-
Prius too, and I have no anxiety with that. So that's why I would like to see, and I hope my colleagues would support this request, that the tourism vehicle be a hybrid.
I think that certainly is something we'll work with tourism staff on. I think the
Yeah, absolutely.
initial concern was Ford doesn't make the Explorer hybrid for civilians, so we would have to get a police version essentially, which has limitations in that, right? You can't access the rear compartment of the vehicle. So well, I'll work
Or-
with staff to like a Chrysler Pacific hybrid van, which they could store materials in the back, but then also have a hybrid option.
Yeah, I would say, or just don't get the Ford. But I understand the very strong, rigid focus on Fords. I think that is something this committee should discuss in the future, whether we need to codify that agreement that we'd use Ford or not. But anyway, I appreciate Ben.
I mean, I think any vehicle like for the, say, IT, where they're not going outside the city, they should all be EV vehicles. I mean, that's an easy win. If you're driving around the city and all you're doing is city work, then we shouldn't be spending any money on anything other than an all EV vehicle. I mean, if we're gonna put our money where our mouth is, those are the kinds of low hanging fruit I'm talking about when I'm trying to get at the things we can do that are easily identifiable wins as a city. You know, think about the amount of gas that's spent just going from building to building as opposed to, so. Yeah, tourism definitely has to be some kind of, thank you.
Sure.
For your keen eye.
Can we talk a little bit about the airport ops budget?
Sure, not much to talk about, but yes.
Okay. This is page 187 of or starting with 187 of the operating budget briefing book. And it's just a couple things. The operating budget when you have a chance. So our fuel flowage fee, the rate is 10 cents per gallon. But the BOA's 2024 Airport Rates and Charges Survey Report came out this past summer. And the state averages for large general aviation airports, which is what we have, are 19 cents for the 100 low lead and 12 cents for Jet A. And I think we should be at parity with that rate. And I think what could happen is it would be, a doubling of the fee practically for the 100 low lead. But perhaps we could then not charge a fuel flowage fee on the unleaded, which I know is not
Yeah.
currently being sold, but that would
I would be
subsidize.
happy to say we can certainly discuss that in airport commission. And see, what the larger impact of that is. I'm not saying no to any of it.
Of increasing the fee?
Of, I just think we just need to have some time to get our head around it because, if, there's more competitive fuel nearby, then people will simply fly there to buy it.
And that's their choice, but I'm not sure. Well, I'm not comfortable with the notion that the members of the airport commission, I think a majority of whom buy fuel at the airport, they really should not be setting their own rates. So that's my only hesitation in sending this back to the,
No, I'm just more
Airport
interested in
Commission.
just overall impact of it. I think just get some input.
and then we show in the, if you go out to the, expenditures, Diego, next page. We have in here, where did it go? Maybe I'm thinking of the table that you all do every month at the airport commission meeting. But I know it came up for discussion, the idea that we don't have in the budget an FBO fee or building lease on the revenue side, and we don't have like the cost of an FBO contract on the expense side. And it's fine because right now we don't have an FBO that charges the fee, nor do we charge him for rent. But I think in the future, maybe in the 2027 budget, it should be a priority to make sure those offsetting revenues and expenses are put in the budget, because it may not always be the case that the FBO doesn't charge us a fee and we don't charge for rent. Does that make sense, Brian and Diego? Thank you. And I know one of the commissioners brought this up as well at a recent airport commission meeting. That's all right.
Just want to give the commission or committee members a time check. We have about 9
Yep.
minutes left.
Anything else, Ryan?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, if we had more time, and maybe we do next time, and I'm concerned about a couple things in the capital budget. One, the ADA compliance at Penny Klein, because that too, I believe, I'm not on parks, but I think that has been bandied about the last couple years. And then also the installation or the, I guess, marking of ADA accessible stalls, parking stalls, not in the downtown, but in other areas, because I know this is important. It's $45,000, so perhaps next time we can talk a little bit if there is any money left from the battery storage project or capital funds rollover, maybe we can figure out how to fund some of these accessibility projects.
Okay,
So do we need a motion?
I think we do. Brian, do you want to read the list? I mean, I have a chicken scratching in front of me, but it's probably
Do.
better that you read it more accurately, and then I'll request a motion for that as read.
So I guess the two motions, one on capital, one on operating. So the capital motion would be to move forward to city council for additional consideration, capital budget with the amendments and items discussed tonight, inclusive of reducing the item number 8 on Public Works Other to fund traffic safety screening study, number 9 to number 8, of $25,000, including the dispatch radio console, removing the B-cycle award, the battery storage project cost savings, plus the sustainable matching fund to achieve the $200,000 for the climate action study, reduce the allocation for high road project $120,000, and reallocate, include the CLC pruning block in the budget, Graper Pond rollover of 2025 dollars for that project into 2026 to allow for a total of $40,000. Include a sinking fund, the amount of $175,000 for material sorter for library with funding to be determined. And I think that's what I had for capital.
Okay. Can I have the motion is in front of us. I will make a motion to accept. I'd like the motion for the items as stated by Administrator Gatto. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. And then the next one, Brian?
It would be the operating fund and with the, depending on the committee's position, the items that were discussed earlier at the beginning of the budget discussion pertaining to the positions and yeah, that basically the positions and the related IT operating fund.
Yep. And I think we,
And so the positions are the stormwater,
Changing that office assistant from 30 to 40 hours. And then the funding for one crew position under stormwater utility budget.
so one crew, stormwater,
okay,
part-time to full-time. We don't have time to talk about it now, but next time I would like to discuss the possibility of funding the seasonal staff for parks, recreation and conservancy. I think that is, I think we have money in the budget for that, but we'll talk about that next time. In the meantime, I would move to add the one crew member for stormwater utility and increasing for water and sewer utility, the part-time position to full-time.
okay. Lorman will second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. And with that, we stand adjourned. Thank you.